bloop.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I was a little off on the bloop this time.
Seriously, a little bit. That's an understatement.
Yeah, maybe a lot off.
I'm excited to be back, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you didn't miss us having taken a week off.
I hope they did miss us. We have to starve the fans for a little bit.
Yeah, starve the fans. The fans probably didn't even notice that we took a week off.
They're like, oh yeah. Oh, I guess I didn't hear you guys last week.
Yeah, like didn't even notice.
But no, it's good to take some breaks, get a little refreshed, come back with some strong, good content.
What have you been up to?
Same old, just getting ready for the cold weather.
It's freezing.
I can't believe it's November already.
It's so cold. Like when I get up in the morning, it's 30 degrees and it's just not cool.
Yeah, I heard we're going to have a bad winter this year, unfortunately.
I heard that too, but don't say it too loud. The Mother Nature may hear you.
Yeah, I'm not ready for all that with the snow and freezing temps. Like, yeah.
Oh
I used to love it. It's crazy. Like I feel like as kids we used to love it, and when we heard adults complain about it, I was always like, why? But now I understand.
I don't really mind it. I love snowstorms. I love when my job emails me and says the office is closed due to a snowstorm, and I can stay in bed. Like I like snow. I'm not opposed to winter at all. But I'm especially excited about today because it is the start of our 4-week guest appearance marathon. I just made that name up right now.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We have 4 guests back to back coming through, sharing some knowledge on certain topics.
So much knowledge.
Yeah. I'm excited for this one. It's a close friend of ours.
I know, one of my favorites. And I feel like the reason we thought to bring this person on is because I feel like you and I have been talking about like traveling with kids, and like I wonder how I would like do this with my kid, and we're just sitting here talking about how to raise kids and we have no idea what we're talking about.
We have no idea.
So we wanted to bring on one of our dearest friends, Alana, who is here with us today to talk to us about her parenting journey. And I think a lot of our listeners, I think, either have kids or are thinking about having kids and considering like when is a good time. So
yeah, they're going to be popping out soon, probably for a lot of people.
Yeah, we wanted to bring Alana on to give us the inside scoop about kids. So welcome, Alana.
Hi.
Woohoo!
I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. This is awesome. I'm so glad you guys are doing this podcast. It's great.
We are so happy you can be here.
Thank you for coming on and sharing some of your knowledge.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It's definitely new.
So tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, what you do, our favorite little baby in the whole world.
So I am a kindergarten teacher for Boston Public Schools. I graduated from Stonehill the same year as Jared, 2013.
Woo woo,
Yeah, so I just had a baby last December, so she's coming almost up on a year, and it's I have to say it. I know people say it flies by, but it truly does fly by. I can't believe she's already 10 months.
That is so crazy that she's already almost 1.
I feel like you just told us you were pregnant the other day.
Me too. Me too. And then like I think about just all of the phases of pregnancy and then having her and then having a newborn and then like the whirlwind that was. And it's like, how did like Luke and I get through that?
Like we survived.
Well, we're not there. We got to get to that year. And then once we hit that year, it's like, holy shit, we made it.
I feel like also in the first year, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the craziest because they like are little basically balls of nothing, can't do anything, like little tiny helpless things. And now she's like up trying to walk around, do stuff on her own. Like I feel like so much happens in such a short amount of time. Like I would be I would just, I don't know how I can't.
Yes, and I know
it's just a lot,
it's
right?
just, yeah, it's a lot, and so much changes in that 1 year, and it's like when you're in the deepest part of it, you're like, is this ever going to end? Is this there's no light at the end of this tunnel, and it just feels like it's
Yeah,
hard.
yeah.
It's really, really hard, and I know we're going to get into the details of all of that, but
yeah, I definitely want to get into the details of it, but before we get into the hard stuff, which is what we all want to hear about, so you can warn us for the rest of our lives, give us like 2 or 3 just like amazing, like your favorite thing about being a parent up until this point.
So 2 or 3 of my favorite things about being a parent is
that's like a tough question.
Yeah, it's tough because it's hard to narrow down, but waking up or her, I shouldn't say waking up, having her wake me up and walking into her bedroom and seeing that smile on her face from like ear to ear, just from like seeing my face, is probably one of like the best things and makes it like all worth it. And then another big piece is her just hitting those milestones of like being able to control her own head and smiling at you and giggling, and those kind of milestones are just really fun to experience. And then just kind of, I would say the last one, I would think a big one was her eating, because like they go from like nursing to bottle feeding to just like eating, like pinching food and putting it in her mouth and just like becoming more of a human. I know that's another milestone, but like becoming more grown is like a really it's just been really fun to watch. And so just, I mean,
I can just imagine like the joy that just brings you seeing her like hit those little steps and things like that.
Exactly.
So I know you said that she's like almost turned to 1 now. How do you and Luke feel about like their first birthday parties? Are you like going to have something huge and amazing, or is it going to be like low key? Or
I think it all depends on like our personalities. For us, we're pretty low key, so it's just like cake and immediate family that we're gonna do, just super low key. But I do know people that just like have a blowout. You know, I don't know. I think if you're a party person, then maybe. But is it necessary? Is it necessary?
A nice way to put it.
In my opinion,
yeah, because I mean, like they're not even going to remember it at all.
They're not going to remember.
They're not going to. But I think it's important to celebrate. Like, don't get me wrong. I think it's really, really important to celebrate them because it is a milestone. It's a milestone. It's a celebration of their first year of life, but also like as parents, you made it.
That's true.
To that first year, and it's like it should be celebrated.
I think it's always funny, like when you go to like breweries or like places where it's like really adults only, and they're having like the baby's like first birthday there,
I've
or even
never
like a baby shower
before.
there. Really?
Oh yeah.
You just go to any brewery, like
really?
Yeah, they have like the child's first birthdays there and baby showers, stuff like that. It's funny.
So now let's flip the page and say like, you probably have a laundry list of some of the hardest days or things that you've gone through in the past year, but like we want to know the real deal. And I'm just going to cut to the chase because I feel like I've heard from more than one person in my family, like the first year is the hardest, mostly on your relationship with your significant other, whoever that is, helping you raise a child, whether it's dad, mom, whoever. I feel like I've heard it's kind of a shit show. I need to know.
I wouldn't, okay, so like I wouldn't call it a shit show, but it's different and you need to be ready.
Ready for what?
I mean that very loosely in the sense, but your relationship is going to be tested to an extreme. And I think that people are often given advice of like, get your sleep and go on a baby moon and do this, that, and the other. And I think that a lot of what will be tested is your patience and your relationship. And a big thing for Luke and I was before the baby came, yes, we need to spend time together. And yes, our relationship needs to be a priority because at the end of the day, when your kids are grown, guess what? your kid is gone and you're left in a house with your spouse or your partner, and some people don't even know their partner at that point, and that's scary. And so I think that we made sure it was a priority that he and I were on the same page. And also in those moments of weakness, in those moments of vulnerability, and your hormones are out of whack, and you're mad at your husband or partner, and you don't even know why.
Oh my God.
It's just because of your hormones. And you need to literally be willing and able to say, I tap out right now, and I really need you to step up, and for your partner not to take it personally.
It's like the open dialogue of it, right?
Absolutely. That's huge. I mean, and you need to, like, whether you're married or not, you need to have that open dialogue. You need to have that communication with your spouse, because if you don't, your resentment will start to grow, and it's scary what could actually, I mean, that's often where relationships fail.
It's actually crazy you said that word resentment, because I literally just listened to Beyonce's Resentment like 2 days ago.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's that there were times where I think Luke and I were just kind of like, I'm so mad, and I can't even express why, but
you get like fed up with each other?
You're fed up, and it's not necessarily with each other, but with the situation, right? Because you have a screaming baby. They have this witching hour that often every baby goes through, that they're crying typically at night when it's dark, when they're crying for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours at a time.
Stop it now, Alana.
I'm not even exaggerating.
Oh,
it's called the witching hour. And yeah, it's hard. It's really, really hard. And it's just like, I'm there with the baby in my arms, and I'm just like walking around the house and trying to get this baby to stop crying. And I'm like, I gotta tap out.
Yeah.
So like, I'm a true supporter of tapping out when you need to tap out, because it's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for your partner, and your partner, whether you're the woman that just had the baby, or you're the husband or husband or spouse or partner that just is there to support. I mean, you're each going to have your moments of where you feel like you're about to break.
Right.
And you need to be able to trust in your partner and say, I need your help right now.
That's crazy and scary.
It's scary.
Oh my gosh. I can't even. That is so scary, because you think about, like, if whoever you're with, no matter how long you're with that person before you have a child, like, I feel like in both Jared and I situation, Jared has been with his wife even longer than I've been with Terrence. And I just feel like you make a life for yourself with this one other person. Yeah. And that's your life. Like, that's how you move. That's how you operate. You're just responsible for you and Bae, and like, keep it moving. And then this like other little person who is screaming in the middle of the night for 4 hours has now entered into your life, and like in your mind, it's like the best thing to ever happen to you, but it's completely changes your dynamic and like literally every move you make. And you're going from like 5 or 7 years of doing the same thing with the same person, and then it's like a new factor is introduced, and it's a whirlwind.
It is definitely a whirlwind.
Is it safe to say that like you and your spouse are kind of put on the back burner, like through the whole relationship, you two are like the forefront, but then when the baby comes, like now they're your new priority. So you and your partner are kind of like on the back end of it now. Does that make sense?
So I hear that, but I think that that's where often a lot goes wrong. You know what I mean? So,
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So
when you don't put the relationship first.
Right. At the end of the day. And it's like, yes, of course you have this brand new baby and you love them so much and unconditionally. And you look at them and you're like, how did we make this like beautiful baby? And we love them so much. And like they're just here brought to the world. And yet like I would do anything for this baby. But at the end of the day, like you need your partner to get you through this. And yes, they're your priority in terms of like care, right? Because you might be married to your partner, you might be with your partner, but you've never had to care for them. Like they're an independent adult, and like show them love and show them that you care for them, but you've never had to like physically care for them. You never had to wipe their butt. You know what I mean? So it's different in that sense. So of course you have this other human that you're caring for, but your relationship, like in those moments of vulnerability, in those moments of weakness, you're going to look to your partner for support through those tough moments, which is going to make you love them that much more. Maybe not at that moment, right? Because you might feel like, oh, I wish I didn't have to ask them for help, but I do, and I need your help. But like a week later, you're going to be like, I thank you for that, and thank you for not judging me for tapping out, or thank you for not, so it's, you need to lean on them, and you need to be willing to support them equally, right? It should be a reciprocated thing where it's not like, and there are situations where my friend Jill just had a baby in the summer and she had a C-section. So her husband was literally having to wait on her hand and foot because she was bedridden.
Oh yeah, because
So it tests you. It tests you. And like I said, and I know I'm a very resentful person.
Yeah, me too.
So I had to be really careful, and just like, and reflect. And I know personally through my own, after having Lena, I want what they call the baby blues, right? It's not totally postpartum, but baby blues are just kind of like your hormones are leveling out and you're just like, you're sad, but you don't know why. And like you have this baby and you should be so happy to have this baby, but yet you feel not settled, I guess. And so that was like a really tough thing for me to like cope with, because I'm like, I just had this baby and I should be elated to have this baby and everything should be perfect. And it wasn't, it wasn't. And so eventually I got there, but it took a couple weeks. And those first 3 weeks after having that baby are the hardest weeks.
Oh my God.
Ever.
I'm like sweating just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Worth every second of it.
I've never heard of that though, baby blues. I heard of like postpartum, but
yeah, the baby. It's like a middleman between like a true postpartum and like the normal.
I also just want to say, like, shout out to all the single parents
out
there. Oh my God. Single moms, single dads who are out there just like hustling and surviving and everything that Alana's saying and talking about going through, and having Luke to help you. Like, I cannot even.
I don't even know how women do it. I genuinely, I give them so much props, but I'm also like, how do
you guys are
superheroes is an understatement. And to not have any family around to help them, where they truly are alone, doing it alone, working, and I just couldn't.
Yeah, so shout out to everybody out there who are raising their kids and doing their thing.
Alana, so looking back at like your childhood and your upbringing, and even I guess maybe if you talk to your husband Luke about this, do you see like you guys raising Lena differently than how you were raised? Like, do you think it's different because of just you two personally, or it's like a generational thing? But do you see like any like similarities or?
Yeah, I think that first off, I would say yes, Jared. As a millennial parent, and I do think that's a thing. We are millennial parents. We definitely do things differently. In the sense that we have so many resources at our fingertips that our parents didn't have. So we were raised by two both of our parents are just amazing parents, and they did an awesome job raising us. We're very blessed to have that. And we use them as resources. Luke's mom's actually a daycare provider up in Maine. So it's wonderful having her as a resource. And my mom's always dropping gems, dropping gold here and there, which is awesome to have. But I have to remind my mom, especially, that like things aren't the same way. Like she couldn't get over the fact that in a crib you can't have bumpers and you can't have a mobile and like there are so many things that we were given as kids, and she wanted to have a canopy over Lena's crib. I'm like, Ma, you can't do that. Like you just don't do that. But it's just safety things are different now, and you put the kid on the back, not on the belly, and it's just like so many things are different than how it was when we were babies. And so it's for my mom, it was kind of like I had to teach her the way that things are done now.
My question was, I think both of your families, you were raised differently, but both in good ways, just different ways. And how, even though you are doing things differently with Lena than you are, I feel like I'm thinking about my situation, and like I know my family is going to probably have a big hand and have opinions, and I am receptive to it. But like, where's the boundary line where you're like, this is what I want to teach Lena from what you taught me, but I want to do it in this different way. And then like how they respond to you saying that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like do their feelings get hurt? They have to like
I'm sure their feelings have gotten hurt by us saying, well, this is the way we're doing it. So, and I think like just being super transparent with like, this is our choice and this is our kid, and we appreciate your suggestion. And you just take it in, right? I think the best way to go about it, and for them they can watch and see if you take their advice, and they're probably going to have an opinion about that. But when I've said no, or I think we're going to do this, it's been probably well received, or that's the impression I've gotten. But if they have an opinion, I've gotten like my aunts or uncles, or like choosing a big thing was my uncle made a comment about me drinking alcohol, even though I'm breastfeeding. And so I was just like, well, this is actually okay. And the best piece of advice, and I recommend this to any new parent, blame the doctor. So you just say, well, the doctor said that this is what's best for my child. And that's it. And you just say that, and usually that gets them to shut up. But
I think that I'm going to have like something similar happen to me in the future, because I don't want like anybody kissing my baby like on the lips. So I'm going to say that, and I already know I'm going to feel some backlash. So I know some people's feelings are going to be hurt and things like that,
and that's okay. Their feelings can be hurt. It's your kid.
Exactly. But I feel like
it's your kid not going to. And drop those hints now. You know what I mean? Like, this is great. You're saying it on the podcast. Like, I don't want my baby kissed on the lips. So just keep saying it, and that way it won't be a surprise when that baby does come out, and you're like, nope, remember what I said.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to do it anyway, honestly. Have you been in that situation where you said something and did that just like boil your blood?
Yeah. Do they do it anyways? Because I think I would lose it.
I'm like, the biggest thing was like something typical that you'd obviously remember, but or that would seem obvious to me. I shouldn't say that you'd remember, but that would seem obvious to you. Like, wash your hands before you want to hold my baby. Wash your hands. And so that's a big deal. That was a big deal for me. But anytime I would ask my like aunts or uncles to wash their hands, they would kind of look at me funny. And then one day I asked them to wash their hands. They went and washed their hands. Then I handed Lena to them, and then I coughed, and they were like, "Oh, look, well, you're sick." And I'm like, "Are you kidding?"
Oh my God.
And it was just like,
well, I'm the mother.
Yeah, right. It's like, well, whatever I have, she's probably going to get anyway. Anyways. But regardless, I have the right to say, wash your hands.
Yeah. I also feel like I'm acting like I'm not going to be dropping my kid off at my mom's house. Like, I'll be back on Sunday. But I don't know yet because it hasn't happened. But I wanted to talk about, you said you think that millennial parents, that term is a thing. And I agree with you. I pulled up this article from Business Insider, which we'll post on our website, all about millennials doing stuff different and parenting different. And they actually call millennial parents perennials, which I think is hilarious.
So she's not in daycare. Is she in daycare now?
Yeah, she's at a home daycare. I was home for what? She just started in September. So she was a full 8 months when she started.
They have like other kids there?
Oh yeah, there's like a group of 10.
So we were at Emily's sister's house on Thanksgiving, and the little nephew, he had a black eye. And there's been multiple times when like they went and picked him up from daycare, and he's had like some like marks on him. So I asked him, I was like, how does that make you feel when you guys just show up and you just see like your kid with like bruises and like they're battered? Like, obviously, I don't think that's happened to her yet, but I think that happens to like all kids, I guess, supposedly.
I don't know. I mean, I think like so far we've had one incident where we were like, and it happened within like 2 weeks of her going to daycare. She had a scrape on her knee, and I know it's like tiny, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's
that's like you feel that pain probably, right?
But I feel that, and I'm like, my daughter has a scrape. I see blood. Like, no, that's not happening. And so I'm like, maybe it's because I'm a first time parent, but I was very like, if multiple instances happen, I think especially when they're toddlers, it's hard because they're like rough and tumble. But
yeah, they're like running around.
I think there's like there's a level where it's like this is no longer acceptable, and it's like it's hard because you have to find out care elsewhere, and I think that's the challenge.
Also, you paid so much for daycare. Like, if I'm paying daycare, that is the amount of my mortgage. My kid better not come home with scratches.
That's exactly right.
And then sometimes like they ask them like what happened, and sometimes like the people
that
there
was a
don't
big
know
thing
because
about
they have
the
so many
daycare that
kids.
we chose. We ended up going with a daycare that had more kids just because the teacher to kid ratio was smaller. So like my daycare is owned by a woman and she has 2 helpers and her mother does a half day. So there's 4 adults for 10 kids.
Yeah.
So that was a really big piece of why I wanted the daycare, and they were bilingual. So it's like there's like a checklist, I guess, that you have that you and Emily will come up with that's like what's important to you.
That's just scary to think of. Like I can't imagine me just getting out the car, walking in, and then my kid having a black eye, and then I ask you about it, and you don't like. Oh my goodness!
When my dog comes home from doggy daycare with scratches, I want to flip the place over, and that's for my dog. So I know if my kid has scratches, I'm gonna lose it. So I feel like one of the things I wanted to talk about was millennials documenting their kids on social media. I think we say this all the time that social media is a double-edged sword. In general, not just talking about posting your kid, but in some ways we have all this technology that's going to help us document their lives, but in other ways, do we really need to put our innocent child's face all over the internet? I don't know. I feel like when I'm a parent, I might choose to lay off the social media for a good like first year of the kid's life at least.
I completely agree with that statement. I feel like you've said, a big thing about millennial parents, perennials, is that they feel the need to share. And I don't think there's anything wrong with sharing. I think it's the amount that you're sharing, right? Like I have posted a couple of pictures, I think when she was born, and then like a 6-month picture, and that's about it. But that's because I am kind of old school in that sense of feeling like this is my child, and I do want to limit how much they're out there, right? Because I'm going to tell you right now, people are mean and people are
crazy,
and there's some creeps out there too.
And there are creeps out there, and whether they're, I mean, they might know where you live, they might know where you work, they might want to know where your kid goes to daycare or school, and like I think that we need to be a little bit more cognizant, just be a little bit more thoughtful about how much you're putting out there, knowing that the second you put your kid out there, they're out there for, it's like life. I mean, it doesn't magically go away. Your Instagram story, someone can snapshot or take a screenshot of it.
I never get why people, I know this might sound kind of bad, but I just always think of the worst case scenarios and things. And I'm like, when people post like their kids just like butt naked on social media, I'm like, yo, there are creeps out there who might look at this and like it. I don't know. Like, it's just weird to me.
What if they put like the emoji over the private parts?
I've seen, I mean, I guess that's fine, obviously.
I don't know.
Yeah, even
I don't know.
It's like,
I don't know. It's not for me.
But I've seen pictures of like them butt naked. I'm like, yo.
Yeah, it's
don't put this on social media.
No one wants to see that. Like, I'm sure your mom would like to see it, or your aunt, your best friend. Send it to them privately. Don't put it. And like the last thing your kid is going to want when they're 20 years old is a picture or
a
video
memory.
of them
A Facebook memory.
In the bathtub. Like, no, that's for a photo album that you've printed and is like, you're going to look
It's
back
not for the
on.
world to
It's
see.
not for the world to see. I mean, again, people that you love, of course, want to see your baby, but do they really need to see your baby eating and smushing their face into their food like every day or crawling?
There's some people who even make their child like an Instagram.
Oh yeah,
profile. Their own Instagram.
I mean, I can't lie. I mean, I follow mixed race.
Yeah,
babies?
I follow baby Instagrams too, but and that's the thing. It's like, and I also think that it has to do with the kid's age. Like at a certain point, when the child can walk and talk and really start to like become a kid versus like a baby, then I think I would probably be like share more, and I'm definitely open to seeing more of that content. But sometimes, yeah, when I see naked babies on like Facebook or somewhere, I just feel so uncomfortable because I'm like, anybody creepy could see this.
Yeah, exactly.
So another thing this article mentions is that millennial men are more likely to take on housework and childcare than in the past, even though women still do most of it. So tell us the dirt. What's Luke do? What is he up to around the house? Is he doing the laundry more than he used to now? What's he up to?
For me, at least, that's true. I mean, Luke.
That's great.
From the get-go, Luke and I have always kind of shared responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm crazy. I'm a crazy Latina. And when it comes to cleaning, I have very high expectations. And so Luke has learned really, really well especially when it comes to the bathroom. He's really stepped up his bathroom cleaning.
Another thing that I think is cool that Perennials are doing is it says millennial parents want to know that the brands that they're buying reflect their values. So we hear this a lot about millennials in general and how we're just more conscious about where we're putting our money, who we're supporting. You know, we had that episode about cancel culture. And so I feel like millennial parents are reading labels more than our parents did. Like I have got Johnson & Johnson baby powder slapped on me every single day. And aren't they like corrupt or something?
No, they got sued. They got sued for causing cancer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're like chemicals are so bad. And so I feel like that's a huge pressure just as a parent, millennial or not, like we don't half our beauty products and like our lotions and stuff. There's like no FDA regulations on those ingredients that go into that type of stuff. And so like, how do you know what lotion you're putting on your kid's body isn't like seeping into their skin and hurting them?
I think that's a really, really good point. I definitely agree with that. I also think that it depends on I'm lucky enough that like I can look at the label and I do question what I'm putting on Lena. But I think financially, like that's a burden, right? Yeah. Because I can choose for Lena's first year, like Luke and I said, like we do care about the lotions and soaps we're using on Lena. So we actually buy this French brand of lotion. It's a little bougie, I know. A little bougie. But it was the one thing that we were like, this is something that we want to invest in for the first year, just because baby skin, is absorbed so much. And we want to make sure that what we're putting on her matters. What the ingredients that are in it. So we buy this brand, Mustela, and it's just like, it smells like heaven.
It's worth it for your peace of mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Peace of mind in that sense. But when it came to diapers, that was one thing that we were not willing to like go organic on, or use the reusable diapers.
I'm sorry, the what?
Have you heard of that?
Reusable diapers.
I'm sorry, no.
Yeah. Reusable diapers. So there's this, they're literally what they are. They're reusable diapers. They have these inserts that you put in them and you can wash them in your washing machine. Or if you want to be extra bougie, you can have a service come and clean them for you.
What about blowouts? There's no way reusable diapers survive blowouts.
Right. And how you can come back from that.
From a blowout? No. What's a blowout?
Blowout is when the baby poops and it just literally goes everywhere.
The explosion?
The bottom, up the back. You got to give them a bath. It's just like,
yeah.
How can a reusable diaper survive that? It can't.
It doesn't. And then it's wasteful, right? And I think that's another big thing is that as millennials, we try to limit our waste.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that was a big reason why the reusable diapers became such a hot commodity. And I mean, power to the people that do them. I could not. It was just, for us, it didn't make sense at the time, especially, I mean, as a newborn, the newborns go through, like, newborn babies go through 10 diapers a day. So it's
lot,
like,
yeah.
For us, diapers was not something. And I just do what makes sense for your family. But also know that that comes with a financial responsibility too.
Yeah, the finance aspect of having a baby just sounds so crazy.
Oh my God,
just
it sounds scary.
Yeah, all the different costs, and then plus on top of that, daycare, which I hear could go between like 30 and 40,000 a year or something like that, depending on where you go. That's like birth control. Just hearing that is like birth control.
And then it's like, pray that you are blessed with a healthy baby. Like, there are parents who have sick children, and they're not only dealing with the sick child, but they're dealing with the financial burden that comes with that. Like, thinking about all that as a whole is like, it really makes you like think about if you're ready for this or not. Like, I'm sweating right now. I'm sweating.
It's super hard. And I think that the financial responsibility, it is a thing, right? Like, you are now responsible for this baby, like whether it's healthy, the baby's healthy, or just a typical child. It's all money, right? It's a lot of money, but the good outweighs. And it's like, you don't even, when it comes to, like, Lena had to go to the hospital because she got really sick one time and was just like vomiting continuously. And so that was one of the most terrifying. Not once did I think about, like, and I'm blessed to think that, right? Like, I wasn't thinking like money,
financial.
money. That's because I'm lucky enough to have insurance, right? So, but it's scary. It's scary. But when it comes down to it, you'll do anything. You'll do anything to make sure they're okay.
Here's another. I don't know if it's a tough question or if it was like a tough discussion for you guys, but so you're Latina, Luke is white. You're going to be raising an interracial kid. Was that like a discussion that you guys had early in your relationship, or did you have that conversation again once you were pregnant about like the different, I guess, aspects of life that you guys are going to go through raising an interracial child?
Absolutely. So that was something, like, Luke and I grew up in a home where race was talked about continuously. I was raised in a Latino household, but I went to schools that were predominantly white. And so race was always a discussion. And so when I like met Luke for the first time, I opened up the conversation of race, and I didn't really care if it made him uncomfortable or not. But it was something that I was very comfortable with. And I knew that I needed someone in my life as a long-term partner that was comfortable talking about race.
It was needed. Yeah.
It was needed. Absolutely. It was needed. And if I'm going to be with someone that's not of my own race, even if they were of my own race, you need to be able to, you need to talk about race. And so being in an interracial, like being in a biracial relationship, that's our Friday nights, right? Like, Friday night, open up a bottle of wine and we're having a deep discussion about race, about raising a biracial child, what that's going to look like. This was long before we were pregnant. And it was extremely important for him to know the struggles that I went through as the only brown child in a classroom, and what that felt like for me. And also knowing that he grew up in a town that was all white. I think he said there might have been like 2 Black kids in his entire school.
He's from Maine, right?
Yeah. Maine.
You would never know that because Luke's got soul, man. You would have never thought he was raised in Maine. He could have come from anywhere else besides Maine.
Yeah.
He's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a keeper. But he also, his parents did a very good job of giving him opportunities, multiple opportunities, to learn about people that were not like himself. But I think his life changed a lot when he was going, when he met my family, and the cultural differences are very, very evident. And it's always a topic of discussion. But he embraced me and my life and my family. And that's a big reason why we work, and he loves learning new things and is open to it. But we have encountered a lot of judgment. We haven't encountered a lot of it. I mean, we work in a space where I am surrounded by Latino kids. I work in East Boston, so all of my family's are immigrant families. I think there's like a 95% of them are English language learners. And so when Luke has come to my school in the past, I've gotten just kind of looks and questions and things like that. Or when my students might notice, oh, Miss Alana, who is that? And I'm like, oh, that's my husband. That's Lena's dad. And they're like, oh,
yeah,
he's white. And I'm like, yeah, yes, he is. And so it's just having to encounter, and that's just kids. I mean, adults we've had, but that's a whole other topic. But I think that we're growing up in a space where there are so many biracial, interracial couples that are having babies now, and it's so beautiful. But I think that it needs to be talked about.
Because some people are having kids for the wrong reasons.
Absolutely.
Sounds ridiculous, but it's true.
It's super scary. And as a person in a biracial relationship, we talk a lot about race, but I don't think it's a discussion that's happening in every interracial relationship.
Yeah. I completely agree.
And it's like, that's a problem, because as soon as kids are in the picture,
you're going to start seeing some challenges.
What's your game plan? Yeah.
Right. What's your game plan? And you have to know that deciding where you're going to raise that child, deciding how you're going to raise that child, what books and toys and dolls, and especially as a girl. I mean, I think about Lena. I grew up in an environment where like there were times where I was like, I want straight hair. I want lighter skin, and it's like the impact of colorism and the impact. I mean, we could talk do a whole podcast
on it. Yeah.
But like, if you're a white woman raising a black child, you better educate yourself.
That's what I was saying on the other episode. And then I was like, well, who am I to talk? I'm not a white woman and I don't have a child. So I was like, is this okay to say? But I completely agree. And it's the vice versa too. If you're a white man with a black child, because, I feel like it's the same in both of our cultures. It's like, if you are even a quarter, 25% black, like you're black. Like that's just you're not half black. You're not a quarter black. Like you're black, and you're going to see the effects of that. Like your kid's going to see the effects of that as they age. And so the fact that this is happening and it might not be talked about in households is like a very scary thought.
And it's a problem. And I think it needs to be discussed.
Yeah, that's crazy to think of. Just like in like the future of like, and like where we're going, like hopefully it gets better for these kids.
God willing, right?
Yeah. Something like, or something similar to that. So obviously like you guys are different culturally as well. Have you guys had a conversation about like some things that you're going to do? Or like, did you have an idea of something that you thought you always would bring into parenting? And then maybe Luke was against that. And so for example, like, I was disciplined a certain way, and I think that discipline is fine. But
yeah, you got spanked,
like getting beatings and whoopings. Yeah, getting little spankings. Yeah. Yep. So now with my wife, I mean, we talk about this all the time. I'm like, I think that we're gonna have to discipline our child like that. Blah blah blah. And she's like, no way. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So is there like, I don't know if you guys went through something like that, or do you see like anything in the future happening that where you guys will have a conversation like that? Not in regards to like spankings and whoopings, but like anything in general?
So culturally, I would say a big thing was that I wanted Lena to get her ears pierced.
This is a big thing, Alana.
True.
This is a controversial thing I've heard.
Yeah. It's a very controversial thing. Luke didn't give me any pushback. He was excited about it. So that's fine. So we agreed on that, but I definitely got some pushback, and people were surprised and shocked that not my family, but it was one of those things that people were shocked by, but it was cultural. And that's what I said anytime someone questioned whether my choice of whether I pierced her ears or not. So there's that. In terms of discipline, I was spanked, and
same.
There were other things that they might have used a tool.
Yeah,
but
a good old switch or two.
So, but Luke, similar, but it was very different. It was very different. It was like, and it was my mom and his dad. So it was in terms of the parent that did it. It was just, it looked very different too. And I can tell you that at a different time, but probably not podcast appropriate. But I think we both agree that is something that we want to do, but what it looks like is, I think, going to be something that we disagree on, right? So we have not talked about the ins and outs quite yet, but I can imagine that it will look different. And I think that it has to be a discussion, but I wouldn't shy away from it. I think that it often gets put on one parent to make those tough choices, and that's not fair.
Oh yeah, not at all.
I will say, when you guys asked me to do this podcast, I was thinking to myself, like, I think there's one piece of advice that I have for a lot of parents that are trying, or like not parents, but millennials that are planning to have children is, as millennials, we try to plan, right? We try to over plan, thinking that you have control. But I'm telling you right now, you do not have control. And once like you're in that season of like, this is something that we want in the future, just know that when you're quote unquote ready, it might not happen when you're quote unquote ready, and it might take a lot longer than you're expecting it to. It might happen right away. You know, it might happen right away. But if you're trying to say, I want to get pregnant next May on the 15th at whatever time, you know, you don't.
And I also think it's like, I feel like for me, I'm always like, well, it's not the right time now because I'm waiting for this to happen at my job, or like I'm waiting for this to happen in my personal life, or I'm podcasting, or like whatever. I just feel like you could go in circles doing that to yourself and be like, it's not the right time because of this. Like, it's never going to be the right time. That's what I've heard people say. So I don't know. I mean, I feel a little bit better off what you told me, Alana, but I'm still kind of scared.
That's going to be always there.
Always going to be there. And I think that like having a baby is the best thing on the planet, and it's all well worth it. Trust me. And I truly, truly mean that. As scary as it is, as hard as it is, it really is all worth it. And I think that as she's gotten older, it's become that much more enjoyable. And it truly is just like it is a privilege to be Lena's mom.
Oh, you guys are so cute.
And it's hard, and you need your friends and you need your family to get you through those hard times, because it's going to be tough and it's going to rock your world. It really, really is. But know that you can do it, and you do it because you have no choice, right? You have no choice. But once you get through it, it's all worth it.
I could literally ask 200 more questions about being a parent because I'm so petrified.
Don't be petrified. But I think I just encourage, if having babies is something you want, know that you can do it. You can do it. You're stronger than you think.
It's a learning process.
Yep.
And you'll learn as the process goes on. Just like life. Yo, it's funny, like being younger and like seeing your parents, you think that like they have all the answers and like they know everything about life. But then as we're growing older, you realize that like nobody really has the answer to this, and you just like you're just going on like and learning as life goes on.
It's so true.
It's pretty sickening. I'm just like, I used to think my cousins who were like 25 when I was 13 were like so old, and they were just like grown, and I couldn't tell them anything. And now like I'm just like, who these kids, like, no, we were all, you get into your mid to late 20s and you're like, I don't know shit about anything. I'm still just figuring it out.
Dude, like I'm supposed to have all the answers right now? Oh Lord.
And you figure it out as you go. It's so funny. Annie, who's our friend that's having a baby in 2 months, it's like, she's like, how do you know all this stuff? And I'm like, I figured it out as I went. I asked the doctor questions. I went to a big thing I would recommend to any new mom on maternity leave. Go to moms groups. There's so many free moms groups out there. I met a group of girls that had their daughters, all girls, four of them. Lena and these other 3 girls were all born within the same week.
Wow.
It's so fun. I mean, it's a really nice, like, supportive place where you can nurse your baby if you want to nurse your baby if your baby's crying. it's okay. But it's a nice place because all of you are in the same group. Again, they're free, and so many hospitals have them. There's breastfeeding classes where you can meet people that are all in the same boat and just offer so much advice. But I think that this is a season that a lot of our friends are entering into. And so it's kind of the reality of kind of where we're all headed eventually. And I think leaning on each other as you enter or as you're even thinking about this stage of life is like, it's important. I mean, we're all here.
It's so weird. And it makes you think about like, it's about to be 2020. Like, you can remember exactly what you were doing in 2010. So then if you think like, okay, it's going to be 2020, 10 more years, 2030, we're all just going to be pushing 40, probably hanging out in one of our houses with our kids running around like psychopaths. And we're going to be like, how did we even get here?
But it's going to be great because you're not going to be alone. Like right now.
And it's going to be great.
Right now it's just Lena. I mean, think about...
I know, Lena needs friends.
In 10 years. In 10 years, where we'll all be. And
Lena will be the oldest. She's going to be telling them all what to do.
Telling them all what to do.
Oh my gosh.
So do you see you and Luke, like as she grows older and has friends, do you see like you guys becoming friends? Like with her friends' parents in the future? I could see like me like not doing anything like that, but I know some parents do. So like, do you see you doing that?
I think it happens organically. Like if your kid plays sports and you're traveling with the same parents every year or something, you just like spend time with them. I don't know. Is that what happens?
Right now, I can't see that. I really can't see that happening. And in my head, I picture like, no, Lena's gonna be friends with my friend's baby.
She doesn't need any other friends.
What are you talking about? And I think back to that podcast that you did where you had that like conversation with your coworker, and I've had a similar conversation with my coworker where I was just like, oh, we don't need to hang out. All right. But it's right now I can't see that happening. It's a cool season to be in. I'm excited for what it looks like, and I do look forward to those days where it's a little Stonehill reunion, but it's plus a ton of chiclets running around.
We're gonna need so much alcohol to
yeah, so much.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has been so much fun.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I look forward to another podcast maybe on, interracial parenting in the future, because I feel like you have a lot of people in your life that
fit that bill,
are going to be going through that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I want to kick Jared off for an episode and talk about like the real pregnancy shit.
Yep. Jesus. We could have talked about that tonight.
I don't know if you're ready for that.
There are some deets you may not be interested in knowing. I had a couple in my head that I was like, oh, I could say that, but I think Jared might gag. So
yeah. Yeah.
Luke, it was only Luke in the room for you, right? Or did you have
I had
people?
Luke in the room, and my mom barely made it when Lena was born. So my water broke at 1:15, and I had her by 3:30 in the afternoon. Like, it broke at 1:15 p.m. I had her within 2 hours, but that's because I was already 4 centimeters dilated, like a week before she was born. So it happened quickly and not gracefully.
God, I can't.
Without medicine. But it was great. I mean, thank God I had her that fast, but I am a little worried about baby number 2, knowing that that's something that we are hoping for in the future. But baby number 2 would be like, slide right out. Like, not even make in the car, not even make, I'm worried about that.
I cannot. I can't. Oh my God. Well, this has been so fun. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this, hearing from you. We really appreciate you coming on, obviously.
The great, amazing Alana.
Thanks, Alana.
All right. Love you guys. So proud of you.
Love you too.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye.
What a fun interview that was. I feel like I learned a lot more about parenting, even though I'm definitely still not prepared, but whatever.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely not prepared either, but I mean, Alana, she's a great person. She's definitely a great mother, and I think she definitely shares some great information on this topic.
Yeah, and she kept it real about, all the stuff that she had to deal with and is still going through, and, just gives the people hope about being able to parent a small human.
Yeah, but we definitely need the male's point of view on some of these things, so we might have to run that back.
Yeah, we're gonna have to run it back with the dads because I feel like that would be hilarious, and obviously it's a completely different experience, so I'm down.
Yeah. So Miss Ewing, who is making moves this week?
Okay, our millennial making moves. The brand is called Good Vibe Productions, and it's a video production company created by the one and only Cole Holloman. He specializes in music videos or other video projects, video editing, photo shoots, photo editing, you name it. If it has to do with media, he's on it, and he's also entering into the short film world, and is stationed in the DMV area, which is DC, Maryland, Virginia. You know, when I lived in the DMV area, I always said that to people in Boston, and they thought I was talking about the car registry place.
Wait, so before you moved down there, did you know what DMV meant or no?
In DC, it's not the car place is the RMV anyways. It's not even called the DMV.
Yes, exactly.
But people in Massachusetts call the car place the DMV.
Yes, but I was saying or asking, when you were up in Mass, before you went down there, did you know what that area was called?
Yeah, I knew what it was called.
Okay. Yeah.
But some people don't, so I just wanted to clarify that. So
I definitely could see some of our listeners be like, the DMV area?
All the
like,
time.
huh?
I say it on Twitter, and people in Boston are like, I don't get it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to Maryland. Yeah. But anyway, so he's in the DMV. He's super dope, though. And he actually can do, obviously, things remotely. He just made me a video for my Hawaii trip. So definitely hit him up if you need some content.
If any of you are interested in some work from him, you could email him at goodvibeproductions4, that's the number 4, at gmail.com. You also can follow his Instagram at goodvibeproductions. You should just stay tuned, and there's definitely going to be some more creative content coming from him. It's definitely dope work.
For sure. So week 1 of our guest marathon is complete. I feel like we got off to a great start, and we got some more great guests coming up in the next 3 weeks. Some surprises in store. It's going to be litty.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be some dope content, and these people, they have a good amount of knowledge on these topics, and I think all of you are going to be excited for the topics coming. So it's going to be definitely exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
And if you like our guests and all the topics we're covering, make sure you rate us. Click the 5th star on the podcast profile. Leave a review. Slide into the Insta DMs. Leave a comment. We want to hear about what you thought about the interview with Alana, and also what other topics you want to hear about, what other people we should have on.
Yeah, we appreciate you all. Thank you for listening.
All right. TTYL, J. Reed.